Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of Rich and Raw. Get ready to be Esthersized. If you love these mindset shifts, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Let's dive in.
Hey, good morning.
Welcome, everybody. We're going to do the second part of chapter 5 and maybe 6 if it's not too weird, too heavy, too complex. It's a full moon, so it might be intense.
All right, this is from The Science of Getting Rich. This is page 128 on chapter 5.
Good, thank you.
We're starting halfway into it too.
Okay.
You can make the most of yourself only by getting rich, so it is right and praiseworthy that you should give your first and best thought to the work of acquiring wealth. Remember,
What a powerful. Let's just get started, right?
just do it.
I love it. Sorry.
Remember, however, that the desire of substance is for all, and its movements must be for more life to all. It cannot be made to work for less life to any, because it is equally in all who are seeking riches in life.
I saw that, Jagger.
She's bringing me breakfast.
Aw.
Thank you. All right. Intelligent substance will make things for you, but it will not take things away from someone else and give them to you.
Just so you know, I think that is why we have this knee-jerk reaction to getting rich, because it's the getting rich that we hear about in America, the capitalistic competition against, not competition with, doesn't include the concept of what he's saying. So if you think about my willingness to get rich, if you have any resistance to it, it might be because your base assumption is about me, and not the collective.
Well, collective, right? You got to be careful about that language too, because the concept is if there's abundance for everybody, you got to connect with the other people who also are vibing with abundance.
Mhm.
You're not in a world where you're taking from somebody else at
Right.
their expense.
Right. Read that last sentence again, because I think it kind of tightens up everything you just said.
I'm going to back up just a little bit. Remember, however, that the desire of substance is for all,
Okay.
and its movements must be for more life to all. It cannot be made to work for less life to any, because it is equally in all who are seeking riches in life. Intelligent substance will make things for you, but it will not take things away from someone else and give them to you.
Which means there's enough for everybody. There's no limitation with abundance. There's plenty on the earth. Every oak tree has a bazillion acorns. Every dandelion has 8 zillion little seeds that fly, and there's bazillions of dandelions in everybody's yards. I mean, think about it. I keep thinking about the nature thing because it's proof of how much there actually is. It's us that puts it into like, well, there's not enough. No, it's not true.
Well, it's also the result of being greedy with it.
Yeah.
Because if you're greedy, then you're trying to take all of it for yourself and hoard it and stash it away.
Right. And that doesn't work with dandelions either. They need to be in the wind.
They need to be free.
They need to be free. So the government really screwed up with us. Like, think about how much more money the government could make if we were all free and not restricted and not demanded upon and not like, you have to do this and you have to do that. And why didn't you fill out this form? And you know what I mean? They're like basically destroying the very substance that would allow them to have even more. Don't get me started on that.
Not to get too diverted, but I've been working on my blog post this morning, and I've been thinking a lot about the Old Testament and Judges. And I've known the story for a while that there was a point in time where the Israelites were freed as slaves from Egypt, but they only had judges. They wanted kings like all the other countries near them. And so they told Samuel, who was their judge at the time, they're like, look, we want a king to govern us like all the other nations. So Samuel goes to God, and God's like, look, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting me. But then he goes, and God is abundance by definition.
Right.
And then he says, now listen to them, but you are to clearly warn them and inform them about how the king who rules over them will operate. And he goes in and he lists out all the things that are going to happen if you have a king. This is how the king who rules over you will operate. And he goes through like 7 different verses of these are the things that are going to happen. So it's like we were set up to be free and sovereign,
Right.
but we didn't want to do the work. We didn't want to have that direct connection. So we're like, no, no, we need somebody. And they actually say we want someone else to battle for us.
Oh my God. Is that fit with our desire to stay dependent or what? And that
Exactly.
fits with the government, right? Like, no, I don't want to make the decision. Don't make me responsible for my own life. Even if I like the decision that you made and it's my decision to say I like it, I still subjugate to you if it goes down wrong.
Well, and what I love about it is they still get a choice. You still get to
Yeah.
choose which life you want to live on.
Yeah.
And you can listen to whoever you want to listen to, and you can follow whatever path you want. But it goes on to say the people refused to listen to Samuel. Instead, they insisted, no, let a king rule over us instead. We too will be like all the nations. Our king will govern us and go out before us to fight our battles.
Oh my God, Megan. I
God,
love your blog. So
right?
people want to read the whole thing when you get it done. Where should they go? Just FYI, a little plug for Megan.
Thank you. meganmillshoffman.substack.com. And
Okay.
this one is the principles of being sovereign.
Oh my God. Sounds
Right?
good. Okay, great.
Right? Right? It's so good. The Lord told Samuel, listen to them and appoint a king for them. It's 1 Samuel 8. But that's all of it, right? Like this is the whole it's the oral tradition of being in human bodies in the earth is how do you produce for yourself?
Yes.
How do you tap into the divine, eternal, divine
Yeah.
abundance?
Yeah. How do you become part of the flow of the abundant substance flow?
How do you put yourself in the front line?
Yeah. You don't do it if you deny God. That's for sure.
Well, you're denying the abundance, you're
Yeah.
denying the nature, you're denying all of,
Yeah.
the fact that a seed creates millions of more seeds.
Right. Oh my gosh. I love this. Thank you.
You must get rid of the thought of competition. You are to create, not to compete for what is already created.
Well, that's a little different than what I said competition with, because I think competition with is different than the competition he's referring to.
Yep.
He's
Yep.
referring to competition. Sam's calling me. She just had a baby. Should I answer it?
Let's pause the recording.
Okay, good idea. Okay.
Excellent. Go on. Do you want to do
Okay.
an intro?
That was awesome, by the way. Sorry everybody, you missed the
You're not
baby.
recording. You're
Um,
not recording.
yeah, I am.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Got it.
Um, I was talking to Sam, she just had a baby and she was at ICU, first baby, and home birth, second baby. So
Abundance.
abundance everywhere. It is possible. Okay, so thanks, Megan, for waiting. Appreciate you.
Well, it's good, right? Because when you're birthing babies, it's not about competing with who can birth a baby better. It's not about like there's just competition is not the nature of it.
No, that's what we
You are
talked
to
about.
create, not to compete for what is already created. You do not have to take anything away from anyone. You do not have to drive sharp bargains. You do not have to cheat or take advantage. You do not need to let any man work for you for less than he earns. You do not have to covet the property of others or look at it with wishful eyes. No man has anything of which you cannot have the like, and that without taking what he has away from him.
Oh my God, I love that.
You are to become a creator, not a competitor. You are going to get what you want, but in such a way that when you get it, every other man will have more than he has now. I am aware that there are men who get a vast amount of money by proceeding in direct opposition to the statements in the paragraph above, and should add a word of explanation here.
Okay,
Men of the plutocratic type who become very rich and do so sometimes purely by their extraordinary ability on the plane of competition. Sometimes they unconsciously relate themselves to substance and its great purposes and movements for the general racial upbuilding through industrial evolution. Rockefeller, Carnegie, Morgan, et al. Have been the unconscious agents of the supreme in the necessary work of systematizing and organizing productive industry. In the end, their work will contribute immensely toward increased life for all. Their day is nearly over. They have organized production and will soon be succeeded by the agents of the multitude who will organize the machinery of distribution. Talk about the internet.
right. What do you think of that, Megan? What do you think of when you hear that?
I think it's like if there's a stage of development, right? As
Right.
human beings, we don't have to figure out how to get corn to grow in the soil. with a couple of ox, right?
Right.
Like we're figuring out how to cultivate and glean the abundance from the world, but
Right.
you can't just create it ad nauseum, right? You need systems in place. So he's saying that we're in an era where they figured out how to organize all of it so that everybody has enough, which you talk to a lot of people, like we've never been in a place in time where there's so many people with so much access to so much. Like we
Mm-hmm.
might not have the standard of living that we want, but it's food production. You talk to anybody in the farming world, right? It's all about massive production to
Right.
feed everybody. But he says you'll soon be succeeded by agents of the multitude. So that to me says the multitudes, all of these people that have, maybe been kept down by the kings or the sovereign rulers,
Mm-hmm.
they're all going to have agency, and we're all going to be organized to
Right.
get the resources distributed to all the people. But
Yeah.
that takes work, right? You can't just
Yeah.
snap your fingers.
Yeah. And to do it in harmony with the earth is way different than forcing based on that I need to compete over you. Like all the competition to have more has been typically destroy the earth and the product and the essence of what I'm actually creating in food so that I can produce more of it than you do, which all backfires. You
Well,
don't.
that brings us back to the energy conversation, right? Because I've heard stories that the people that were building automobiles would destroy the train tracks to get rid of the competition. We talk about motors, right? Tesla created energy for everybody, but they didn't want that. They wanted to lock it down.
Right.
The next paragraph, the multimillionaires are like the monster reptiles of the prehistoric eras. They play a necessary part in the evolutionary process, but the same power, capital letter, which produced them will dispose of them. And it is well to bear in mind that they have never been really rich. A record of the private lives of most of this class will show that they have really been the most abject and wretched of the poor.
Because they didn't have abundance, right?
They had
That's what Mother
families that were
Teresa talks about
dysfunctional.
too.
Yeah,
She goes,
no love.
why do you think that just because they have so much wealth that they experience God's abundance? They don't. They're just as, damaged and um, what do you call it? Not weak. I can't remember the word she used, but they're hurting just as bad as the poor person.
They're just poor of spirit.
Poor in spirit. Yeah, that's it.
Riches secured on the competitive plane are never satisfactory and permanent. They are yours today and another's tomorrow. Remember, if you are to become rich in a scientific and certain way, you must rise entirely out of the competitive thought. You must never think for a moment that the supply is limited. Just as soon as you begin to think that all the money is being cornered and controlled by bankers and others, and that you must exert yourself to get laws passed to stop this process, in that moment, you drop into the competitive mind and your power to cause creation is gone for the time being. What is worse, you will probably arrest the creative movements you have already instituted.
Arrest the creative movements you've already instituted.
So you had creativity, it was going, and now you just stopped it.
Right. By your lack mentality. Competition against his lack mentality.
Know that there are countless millions of dollars worth of gold in the mountains of the earth, not yet brought to light. And know that if there were not, more would be created from thinking substance to supply your needs. Know that the money you need will come, even if it is necessary for 1,000 men to be led to the discovery of new gold mines tomorrow. When you think about it, if you wipe out the deer population, then all the foliage starts to grow in. If you wipe out the wolf population, then the deer population blows up, right? Like it's always
trying to stay
never, right. Never look at the visible supply. Look always at the limitless riches and formless substance, and know that they are coming to you as fast as you can receive and use them. Nobody, by cornering the visible supply, can prevent you from getting what is yours. Will never.
That's cool. Nobody that corners the visible supply, like people that steal all that stuff, they think they're actually taking something from you. They're not. They can't. It's impossible.
So never allow yourself to think for an instant that all the best building spots will be taken before you get ready to build your house unless you hurry. I feel that all the time. I'm like, I can't just buy a beach house in Florida because they're all developing it. Meanwhile, there's all these other rural places you can still go and you can build a fire on the beach and you can live in a grass hut and
Yeah. It's
you
so
gotta
weird.
hurry up.
Yeah. And I thought that way about that house I found recently
Yeah.
in South Carolina. It's so cute. And it's like so cool. Like I gotta grab it. No, somebody else is gonna get it before me. You know what I mean? Let it go.
Never worry about the trusts and combines and get anxious for fear they will soon come to own the whole earth. Never get afraid that you will lose what you want because some other person beats you to it. That's such a relief. That cannot possibly happen. You are not seeking anything that is possessed by anybody else. You are causing what you want to be created from formless substance, and the supply is without limits. Stick to the formulated statement. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which, in its original state, permeates, penetrates, and fills the interspaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought. I keep wanting to say imagined, but it's imaged. A
Okay.
thought in this substance produces the thing that is imaged by the thought.
Vision, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Different
Okay.
than imagined, right?
Yeah. If I have a vision of it, I'm imagining of it. It is me creating substance with form, right?
Thought in this substance.
Yeah. Thought into substance. Okay.
Man can form things in his thought, and by impressing his thought upon formless substance, can cause the thing he thinks about to be created.
I love that. That's enough for today. Wow. That's awesome. I love reading this book with you, Megan, and I think it's actually affecting my entire life. I feel and see things come up every day that I am recognizing the abundance. Like yesterday, there was 2 gardenias that bloomed, and today there's like 15, like overnight. Is it the full moon? Is it they were hiding under the leaves and I didn't see them? I mean, they're beautiful. So thanks so much. See you next time. Bye.